the rest of the story. Her name was Betty, but her friends called her Bets. Bets was a shy girl, retiring. In fact, her family called Bets the plain daughter, as opposed to her prettier, more vivacious younger sister. This is not meant to suggest that Bets was a tomboy. She was not. Nor is her story meant to imply that all teenage girls dubbed plain want to be grease monkeys, but that's what Bets wanted to be. Really, a grease monkey. Well, her daddy recoiled at the idea of a girl mechanic in the house. This was not the life he had intended for Bets. But soon the family became accustomed to dinner table conversation of exhaust manifolds and carburetor adjustments and tire rotation, and they learned to accept it. It was wartime 1945. Maybe that helped make the difference. To lead Bet's daddy to acquiesce. For 3 years, she had begged his permission to enter some form of national service. Now she was 16 when that desire was first awakened. At the age of 19, she was a full-fledged auto mechanic. And there was every evidence that this liberated career liberated the young girl and gave Bets her first real confidence, for she was now with people her own age, people who shared her interests, people who regarded her as a person with a skill. And though the mechanically minded young lady is not remembered today for her mechanical mindedness, her shyness was overcome forever. It seems from the beginning Bets always knew what she wanted. At the age of 13, mind you, Bets personally chose the man she wanted to marry. And from then on, she never looked at another man. But for the time being, in her later teens, cars were her primary interest. Cars and how to fix them. And it was World War II that provided Bets with her first opportunity to get her hands dirty. A somewhat disapproving father remembered that first day she left for the Mechanical Transport Training Center, and that first night she returned home with motor oil and bearing grease in her pretty chestnut hair, but she genuinely loved her new job and the feeling that she was doing something important. Mornings were devoted to driving practice on the roads and to lectures on maintenance and servicing. The afternoon brought practical instruction in the repair pits. The arrival of her uniform was a matter of much pride, for that was a symbol of achievement, and she wore it proudly. Within the first few days of her initial training, Bets was placed behind the wheel of a Bedford truck and ordered to drive that truck along a private Army road. Well, in a short while, she was driving fifth truck in the learner's convoy. And if this, her obsession with mechanics, and the speed with which she became knowledgeable, if these things are made more amazing, it's by the fact that Bets could not even drive a car when she entered the national service. Her daddy, who had at first tried to shelter his extraordinary daughter from the grease pits, at last understood Bets' burning desire to be ordinary. For Bets, the girl grease monkey, was indeed a remarkable young lady in many ways. Once upon a time there was a family scandal. Bets' playboy uncle had quit his job and left the country. There was an inheritance in it for Bets, as she was always known. You see, her uncle's name was Edward, and her father's name was George, and her extroverted younger sister was Margaret, and the man she handpicked at the age of 13 for her lifetime sweetheart was Philip. And if you haven't guessed by now, Bets, the auto mechanic, became Elizabeth II, the Queen of England. And now you know the rest of the story.